dew is as the dew of the dawn, and the earth will give birth to the departed spirits. Okay? Are you with me so far? I'm asking God the question, is this what you want? That afternoon, I wrote this stuff down. That evening, we gathered together for our family devotion, right? This is on April the 9th, just 3 days ago. And here's the title. You know, each day is just one little devotion. It doesn't take long to read it all. And here is the devotional. Daniel 12:2. Many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. Now, if you were me and you were asking the question, am I really supposed to preach this? Am I supposed to talk about this stuff? And in the evening, you read this. What conclusion would you draw? That's what I did. All right, listen to the devotion then. Hear what Jessica and Angela and I read together. During the normal course of our busy lives, it is all too easy to neglect God and His Word. However, life, with its dangers and unknowns, with the questions that continually arise and decisions to be made, and with the inevitable losses and hurts, can make us acknowledge our need for the Almighty God and look beyond ourselves to Him. Sadly, many people reach the end of their days having not done so. There is a hauntingly stark contrast between the passing of those who oppose God and those who trust in Him. The person who defies God can expect a lonely eternity of dark separation from the giver of life and the forgiver of sins. God's embrace. Daniel 12:2, the verse we got through reading, is the most unambiguous reference to the afterlife found in the Old Testament. Isaiah 26:19 provides a less specific example. Scripture makes it clear. People who follow God are vindicated. Those who oppose Him are delivered into eternal punishment. What are you anticipating will happen at the end of your days? So if God is really working, or this is just one of the greatest coincidences of all time, have you experienced childlike faith? If you've not, then you need to give your life to Him today. Or as soon as you come to recognize it, you need to know God. Absolutely. By the way, this was the second thing that happened. I haven't got to the first one yet. We're going to do that in just a minute. This is the second unusual event. Then I'll get to this first. I'll get to the first and the third because they all come about the same time. Now, go to the resurrection alternative theories. By the way, inside of your, you may have noticed that for today, because it's special, I put in Pastor Brett's sermon notes from December the 29th. He's up there going, yeah! And because I thought, I wanted to make sure I'm not walking on anything that compliment one. And sure enough, they do. So you get a chance, look over the notes for what he preached on that day. But there are 7 theories about what happened to the body of Jesus Christ, other than Him actually coming out of the grave alive. You want to hear what these 7 theories are? They're right there in your notes. Let's go with them. The first 3 are really far-fetched, but they're out there. When people are looking for a way of explaining away the body of Jesus Christ rising from the dead, they come up with some real doozies. The first 3 are really out there. Actually, they're all out there, but let's just go with it. The hallucination theory. The disciples thought they saw Jesus. You know what the problem with that is? Hallucinations are individual, not what? Group. Wouldn't it be cool if we could have a group hallucination all at the same time? We all just crawl into the same little dream. Simultaneously. Hey, what'd you think of that dream? Why? This is what I thought of. What'd you think about it? This is what I thought about it. But does that happen? It does not happen. People don't have group hallucinations unless you're in sci-fi. If you're in sci-fi, you can do just about anything. But that's not happening. And here's the other problem. Jesus appeared to more than one time. For example, He appeared to 500 people at one time. That was a group experience, okay? But it was not a hallucination. Number 6 theory, the disciples' faith theory. Now, these people who believe that only 18% of the Gospels are accurate. In other words, of the entire Gospel narratives, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. The problem is the disciples they would have to make a resurrection and then earn their salvation. That's the problem. That's one thing. And here's another problem. All of Jesus' appearances in the empty tomb. You realize that? He made many appearances. Again, we could get into that. I'm not going to because I want to get down to the good stuff. Number 5, the pagan myth theory. This is one I hadn't heard of before. The New Testament is not historical, but writers copied pagan resurrection myths like Marduk, Adonis, or Osiris. The problem is that the New Testament is historical, meaning made up of eyewitnesses. Do you believe the gospel? Do you know why you believe the gospel? Did you see Jesus come out of the grave alive? And anybody in here? Even the oldest person in our room. I didn't call your name. I just looked at you. You weren't there to see Jesus come out of the tomb, were you? No. She wasn't there. None of us was there. But we accept the eyewitnesses, do we not? We accept them. Because there wasn't just 2. 2 would have been sufficient. 3, yes, but 500 plus? Wow. Okay. So, here's another problem. The empty tomb is a problem for them. Martyrdom. There's a lot of people that died believing Jesus rose from the dead. People don't do that. Hoaxes don't produce martyrs. Unless they're just they're just trying to wipe them out anyway. And the problem is this, the gospel of Jesus does not conform to pagan myths. One of the things they noted is that some of these pagan things that they're talking about didn't happen until 100 years later. So it's kind of hard for the disciples to copy something from 100 years in the future. But then again, they might be able to do that because we just learned this week that there are people who are getting Social Security cards or whatever that haven't been born yet. Did you know that? Oh, they are 150 years old or 300 years. We have some people 300 years old getting benefits. And the country is only 250 years old. That's pretty good. They people with great faith. Okay, back to reality. Number 4, the wrong tomb theory. The disciples went to the wrong place and assumed, what did they assume? Jesus rose from the dead. You know the big problems with that theory is? Well, had all the disciples gone back into Jerusalem and said, Jesus rose, Jesus rose, Jesus rose. All the Romans and the enemy Jews said, okay, let's go to the right tomb. Let's get the body of Jesus out, cart him out. Hey, all of Jerusalem, here he is right here. Here's Jesus' corpse right here. He's right here. The disciples just went to the wrong tomb, and we're going to knock down this thing. It doesn't explain, the next problem, it doesn't explain Jesus' 12 total appearances, leading to transformation of people who changed the world. It doesn't explain that. Now, number 3, we're going to park here for just a few minutes. And here's why. Quite frankly, I think I may have heard this in the past, but I totally forgot about it. So it was like reading it fresh. I read this, and this is now the first unusual thing that happened this week. Very first. I read this where it says basically Muslims say another person was on the cross. You say, that sounds weird. Well, it does. All right, let's see. Are you ready for this? Here's what the Quran says or claims of Jesus from the Quran. Quran is which religion? Muslim. They killed him not to appear to them, and those who differ therein are full of doubts, with no certain knowledge, but only to surety they killed him not. Nay, Allah raised him up to himself, and Allah is exalted in power and wise. From Surah 4, 157, 158. How many think that sounds far-fetched? How many have ever heard that was this is the Muslim, how many knew that? That was the Muslim. All right, you're ahead of me then. I would not have been able to tell you. I wrote it down. And then 2 days later, I believe it was, something happened. My wife had taken her mother to get her hair done. Now, I have not warned her about this, but Angela, would you be willing to tell us what happened? Fine, I would have told it. But I decided I'm not going to prepare her ahead of time because I want her just to be a witness. So grab the microphone there, and Brett's going to turn you on. Okay, or just, but.
It ended up that day in the shop. And I've looked for opportunities to share a word about Jesus with this woman that does my mother's hair. And I've never had an opportunity. But that day, she was talking about her travels in Jerusalem and Jordan and all the places around there. She loves to travel. And she was sharing those things with us and what they found and, you know, the place that's supposed to be Jesus' tomb and all of this. And I said, well, what do you believe? And she started telling me some things that I didn't really understand. And then I said, but what do you believe about Jesus? And she said, well, I believe he's one of the prophets. And I said, well, what do you believe about his death? And she said, oh, he didn't die on the cross and rise again. Somebody else was crucified. And that was the first I had ever heard that. So I am praying for her. Her name begins with an N. If y'all would please pray with me for this lady, that there might be other opportunities for me to now, since I allowed her to share what she believed, that there might be an opportunity in the future for me to share my hope and my belief.
Thank you so much. Now, we just passed our 38th year of marriage, right? Let's do the seal of approval on that one. Yeah. Now, here's the one thing I've noticed about Angela in our 38 years. She's gotten bolder and bolder with her words, more vocal with her witness. It's one of the things I like about her. I really like about her. And I decided not to ask her ahead of time. But understand this. Remember I said we got together for our devotion or whatever? When she told me what happened, she probably saw my jaw drop a little bit because I had not told her what I had read about what Muslims believe. And here it is, just a few hours later, she's telling me the same exact thing. What do y'all think of that? Are you kind of like, wow? Now, here's number 3. Number 3 was 2 nights ago at 3:30 in the morning. Sound familiar? Yes, it does. I woke up chewing on all of these things and saying, you know what? I felt like God was saying, Jimmy, you need to equip your church. Possibly she could do next. All right? So if you were in Angela's shoes and that night you hear me say this, what would you do the next time you go take your mother to that same hairstylist? Can we dream a little bit? Here's an idea, Angela. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm telling you, here's a possibility, which means I'm telling y'all too. Okay, say, you know what? Right? Let me tell you something. I really enjoyed talking with you the last time I was here. I asked you about it, and you told me that Jesus was not on the cross. Somebody else died in his place. And I took what you said seriously. I told my husband that night, and his jaw dropped because he said, I read about this just a few hours ago for the first time. And so I've thought about it ever since. And I looked into it. Now, I want to show you something. In Matthew 13, this is what I saw. Now, when Jesus came to the district of Caesarea Philippi, a known place for lots of weird ideas, like Jesus not being on the cross, that'd be a good place. He began asking the disciples, saying, who do people say that the Son of Man is? Sound familiar? And they said, some say, John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others, Jeremiah, or one of the, what do Muslims say? He's one of the. I got to thinking about you, and I got to thinking about me. And then I go back to this verse that says, but who do you say that I am? To make it personal. Peter answered and said, thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And that's exactly who I believe he is. He is the Son of the living God. Jesus answered and said, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I say this to you, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades shall not overpower it. 3 things in 1 week. 2 of them are in the same exact place. Now, so if I tell you right now that today is an equipping message on the resurrection of Jesus Christ, could you agree with that? Do you find it helpful to you? And so when we pray, I'm asking Angela to pray about what she will do next. I don't have to tell her to do that. She's already on top. She's probably already been thinking about it, knowing her. But we all need to be equipped because there are these crazy ideas out there. How many thought that was a crazy idea that somebody else was on the cross for Jesus? Then why does how many Muslims are there in the world? What, 25? What percentage of the world is Muslim? That means a percentage of the world believes that very thing. And they need people like you and me to know what we believe, why we believe it, and to share it with them. Are you better equipped today than you were when you walked in this morning? I hope so. All right. Now, I'm going to fly through this one. Number 2, the swoon or apparent death theory. In other words, Jesus was not dead. The problem is you're saying that these professional Roman executioners failed to do what they were supposed to do. Here's another problem. Jesus surviving his execution and coming out 36 hours later. Now, 2 weeks ago, my brother had his third open one. No, they didn't fillet him like a fish down the middle. They went in through the side because they were trying to get some wires connected to his heart. They couldn't do it the traditional way. They had to do it the hard way. And it's a hard one. Doctor said, John, this is going to hurt worse than your first 2. It's going to be excruciating. And he said, doctor was not kidding. When he got home, this is a true story. He got home and he couldn't get up. You know why? Too much pain, and because of where they cut him, he couldn't maneuver his body. Folks, that's just one little old poke through the ribs, a hole. He couldn't do that. Now watch this. Jesus was whipped 39 times with a cat of 9 tails. His back looked like a hamburger when they finished that. They beat him. They jammed a cross of, it's a thorn of, just excruciating death ever made. And he did that for hours. They beat him to a pulp with their fist. And you're telling me, this is the swoons theory, that he survived all of that plus a spear through his side, kind of like John, and it came out blood mixed with water. You're telling me that he survived it, he was dehydrated, he had almost no blood, the pain and all that. He got out of those clothes, got up, moved a 4,000-pound rock aside, and then came out of the grave and said, I'm alive. How many believe that? And yet, that of all the ones I've shared so far, number 7 of them. Now think about that. It is the most believable. But the one that is the most believable, and it's not believable in my book at all, is number 1, the stolen body theory. This is what actually was reported in Matthew 28:13, that the disciples deceived the world. And here's the problem. Liars won't be martyred for hoaxes. That means all the disciples went out there and then they themselves were martyred for a hoax. That doesn't happen, folks. It just doesn't happen. And here's another problem. Fishermen overcoming Roman soldiers. Now, I try to figure out what would be a good way to explain that. Okay, imagine, let's see. Carter is a good baseball player. You know that, don't you? He's what, 11 years old? How old is he? Okay, let's say that Carter and other 11-year-olds, the best in all of DFW, go up there and play an exhibition game against the Texas Rangers. Who do you think's going to win? You work for the Texas Rangers, you know it. Carter's friends are not going to beat the Texas Rangers, even if they're switch hitting. You know, they're not going to do it. You think that these fishermen these professional Roman soldiers, they're going to overcome them and then take Jesus out? I've got a bridge in Brooklyn that I would love to sell you if you really believe that. It's in my name. I bet you I can make up a deed in just 20 minutes and sell it to you for $25 million. It's crazy. This would be like saying that Abraham Lincoln was not killed in spite of all the evidence. No, Abraham Lincoln was killed. Jesus was crucified, and he came out of the grave alive. 1 Corinthians 15, 13 through 15, I think captures this whole section. Say it with me out loud. Ready? But if there is no resurrection of the dead, then not even Christ has been raised. And if Christ has not been raised, then our preaching is vain, and your faith also is in vain. Moreover, we are even found to be false witnesses of God, because we testified against God that he raised Christ, whom he has not raised, if the fact the dead are not raised. The resurrection of Jesus Christ is essential. It's essential. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time up here preaching. Am I getting rich by preaching? Not even close. Not even close. But you know what? I love preaching about the resurrection. I do. Because I believe it. I believe that when I go into the grave, and it ain't going to be this old body either. It's going to be a whole lot better. It's not going to be an improved version of what I already am. It's going to be a resurrected body like Jesus. Does this make Easter next week that much more powerful? It does. Now, here's what I'm going to do next week. Today was an equipping message for the church, primarily for you, but it's an equipping for you to be able to talk to others who believe some of this junk. I just gave you enough evidence to talk to just about anybody who believes stupid theories about the resurrection. You can defend the Gospels now. Did you know that? And I'm praying that you will defend the gospel. If somebody says, what do you think about, if you did what Angela says, what do you think about the death of Christ and him on the cross? I hope that you will take the time to defend it. But next week, on Easter Sunday, we're going to be taking the Lord's Supper. That's personal. I've got a special for the Lord's Supper next week. You want to hear about it? Show up next week, and then you will. That was mean, wasn't it? Did I enjoy doing that? Yes, I did. But also, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you should want to believe. It makes sense. That's next Sunday. Should you be here next week? Or be in church somewhere next week? Should you invite others to come with you? Witnesses that saw Jesus come out of the grave alive, but you are witnesses of the resurrection. Because if you're following Christ, faith, to grow in grace, and then greater growth to serve him, you've got something to testify, and the world needs to hear your testimony. Amen? We have people to pray for. We got lists of people that need the Lord. Got your 30-plus names, right? By the way, if you didn't get a copy of that and you want it, you want to invest in eternity, 3 more copies right here on the front page, on the front. You can use it. All right. Are we full? Are you ready to go out there and do what needs to be done? All right. I'll tell you what, we'll skip a song today. All right? We're just going to skip the song, and we're just going to go right to saying, Let's get out there and make a difference. All right? Hello, kiddos. Did y'all have a good time? Good. Carter, I told on you. You'll have to ask your dad and your mom what I used you in the sermon. Yeah, he's really worried about it a whole lot, isn't he? All right. Don't forget Sunday, we're going to the Lord's Supper. We're also having the Easter service at what time? 10 a.m. Do we have Bible study Sunday school at 9:30? No, we don't. And so we'll be doing that. I think you'll have a wonderful experience. If the Lord's here, that's all it takes. The Lord's working. All right. Any other? What's that? Hey, Easter egg hunt. Okay. Tori, raise your hand so everybody can see. If you brought eggs, there's some eggs out here. Okay, I can show you where, but underneath that other table, full, by the way. Nice. So there's several things underneath. If you don't want to go, Exxon, and Tori I trust her with it. Uh-oh, how much I trust you. All right, ready? Over here. Okay. Is there something you want to share?
Just real quick.
Yes, go ahead.
All right. Just a Falls Creek update. We have no girl spots left. We are basically full on that. We have 5 guy spots left. So
Wow.
basically we are we're ready to go. So if you know of a teenage boy that would like to go to camp with us,
Hurry.
yeah, you got to get on it and hurry because we're next 5, and then we'll shut down registration. We'll completely disable the link. So, which is cool. We've never had to do that before. I mean, so we're next. All of the kids going this year are the same kids that went last year, and are trying to bring more friends, and they can't. And they said we're going the next year too. So we've already got to get a bigger cabin to fill all those kids that are going. So it's a good and a good thing, and but it's a good problem to have. So, anyways, yeah.
And if you want a heads up on how to pray, remember, if most of the kids that we're taking this year are saved, we need to pray about them being discipled and equipped to go back into their school now. Think about that. It's the middle of May and the camp's almost already closed. That's exactly right. Yeah, we used to have team up with another church every year. This is just our church.
A lot of our babies they're new Christians, or they are entering a new school like junior high, or they're going to
Right.
high school. So we just need to make it with a walk, because we lose a lot of them.
We have a job to do. There's no doubt about it. And this church has a regional and international approach. We just sent 2 people back to Israel that we have been working on and praying for. How's the food?
Well, making an announcement. I took the books that were out here because I'd say that didn't work out.
Oh, okay.
I had a few that took them, but I'll bring the books back the week after Easter.
I like it.
This is the, we take the food up on June the 7th, I believe. So, you can't even count June.
Yeah.
It's a go week.
So this is good. All right. Any birthdays this last week? Oh, please, come on up. But while we're doing that,
I'm going to be up here at 3 o'clock. If there's a better time for you, 3 o'clock this afternoon to do whatever we need to do with it.
all right, if you are interested in helping Tori, 3 o'clock here at the church. All right. She does a great job every year. So she knows what she's doing. I think we still got some stuff in the attic. I'm not sure. Okay. Tell you what, Drew, would you check in that when you get, as soon as we say dismiss? I think it's right up there to the front, to the left. All right, thank you.
Alice today, so I guess I'll have to yell really loud.
Brett, is she on?
I am now.
Oh,
Wednesday is our adult lunch up here, so we're supposed to bring fried chicken and chicken dishes, salads and desserts. And Terry is speaking on Israel. And if you have more information, contact Alice or Jimmy through Alice. Hopefully Alice will be better and be able to be here on Wednesday. And then that's not a term that most of us normal Baptists use, but if you want to make it more meaningful, I put some things on the back table as you go out, some devotionals that you can use each day this week, and then some things like different things we use as Easter. So there's papers of that if anybody wants to take that with them. And then our ladies' tea party is in 2 weeks, December. And it's always, it's April, yeah. April 27th. It's always a special time, and you can sign up on the outside table. That, if not, we can talk about it later. I'd really like to get a head count, and if anybody wants to help me decorate, because Angela's going to be out of town, then let me know, or if you want to help in any way, let me know, because we love our tea party and want y'all to come. And we'll have coffee for people like Tori who don't drink tea.
Help would be greatly appreciated. All right. Yeah. Say something.
It's really weird, but she mentioned Holy Week. And my roommate works in retail. And let me tell you, retail, they refer to this week as Holy Week. So if you're in a retail store and you're going, how is your Holy Week going? It's a prime opportunity. And it just dawned on me when she said that. My roommate, well, this is Holy Week. This is Holy Week. And that's how they refer to it. So just use that as an opportunity.
Interesting. Okay. Yes.
At the moment, probably going to start the grief group on May 4th.
May 4th is the targeted date for the grief group, okay?
And it's going to be like from 4 to 5 in the afternoon.
Okay. If you're interested, pronunciation Lane. Is that correct? Birthdays. Back to the question. Oh. How could I have missed that one? Oh, okay. Yes. When she was, Angela had to go to the emergency. The day she was born was the day that we were, and Angela said to the doctor, "We're supposed to be at Outback right now eating steak for our anniversary." So the doctor took a permanent marker and wrote on her bag, her steak. That's what he did. Her IV bag. And I thought, that was clever. That sounds like something I would do. 38 years. And you have to pray for both of these young ladies because they have to put up with me 7 days a week. Not very true. Good job, Drew. I trained you well. All right. Anybody else? Did we miss anybody else? Okay. Well, here's what you do. Say a prayer for Jessica that this next year at her work, at her ministry here at the church, will be the best year ever. And pray for our marriage and testifying of his goodness and grace. All right? Now, are y'all ready to get out there and make a difference in the retail world and all, right? Well, let's stand. And we'll sing happy birthday, and then you may be dismissed. We're ready. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.